Y'all want to sing a song?
Oh, hold them up. Go
I
ahead.
got news to tell you, and I've got good news, and I got news to tell you, and I've got good news. I done laid down my burden, shoulded up my cross, and on my way to heaven, and I got good news. Oh, I won't have to cry no more. Ain't that good news? But I don't have to cry no more. Ain't that good news? I done laid down my burden, shouldered up my cross, and I'm on my way to heaven. Ain't that good news? I love you, Pumpkin. Thank God.
Hey guys, we're here with A.J.A, former stage name as A.J.A. She is releasing a new single in August of 2023. If you could, A.J.A, if you would like to take over and just tell us a little bit about that song.
Okay. So the song that I'm releasing is called Pain, Grace, Mercy. It's a song that's been in the works for like 5 years now. Actually started writing it back in 2018. I'm so excited to release it. I hope that the audience gets the testimony out of it, and we're honestly here just to talk about the testimony in itself, talk about where it began. How did Pain, Grace, Mercy become a thing?
So what happened in 2018? What was going on then to make you start that process of writing the song?
Okay, so 2018 is actually when I began music, but like you said, my former stage name is A.J.A. And 2018 was the start of that. That's where I recorded my first song. The first song I ever released was called Never Will I. And that was released in 2018 when I was 23 years old.
Oh.
And I was at the time at Clemson University, finishing out literally one class to finish my degree. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, where were you whenever your first song released?
So when my first song released, I was actually living in this like exact spot. This is where I was living, here in Campobello, South Carolina, the country. And that's crazy because I wasn't living in Clemson, even though I graduated in 2018. I was actually here because my mom had gotten sick. So I had to come home from school. My mom was sick. She had like a very bad bout with diabetes. And, you know, her doctor literally sat me down and was like, hey, I need you to take care of your mom. I need you to make sure that she's taking her medicine, watch what she's eating, has a good diet. And I'm like, okay, you want me to do all of that?
But it's like a lot of responsibility on
yes,
something. Yeah, exactly.
At 23 and still in school, that was a lot of responsibility. But yeah, that was why I was back. And then during my time back, my little sister, she's biologically my little cousin, but she and I were like sort of kind of like sisters. She's my little baby. She actually got cancer, and that put me in a very dark space. Because, you know, here it is, like, she's a 6-year-old, you know, little girl full of sass, full of, you know, so much life. And I just remember when she was going through her cancer, like, there was an 85% chance of her dying. She literally had a 15% chance of living. Those were her odds. I just remember, like, I would go over to her house and she had all this life in her. We'd make little videos, her dancing, and then to go from that to now she has cancer. And even, so as I mentioned, I was in school at Clemson University. So I was only there, like my last year in semester, I only had one class to finish. So the night before my first exam, I remember my family and we were sitting in a hospital waiting room because my Ivy was actually in surgery to have her kidneys removed, or a kidney removed, because that's where the tumor was. And I just remember being outside of her hospital room praying and singing with my family, just like trying to keep ourselves encouraged, not knowing what the odds are going to be after that. And the day after that, I had to go and take my very first exam. So I remember going into the exam, and I told my professor, I was like, hey, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I just left the hospital with my little sister who has cancer. I'm currently homeless, just sort of kind of just living wherever I can, couch surfing, and I'm not prepared to take this exam. And I remember the professor looked at me and he was like, that's weak, but you don't have to take the exam. And it hurt me because I know that it sounds very fictional, because honestly, going back and talking about it now, it sounds very crazy, but this was 2018 of my life, a part of the pain. So when he told me that, he was like, that's weak, you don't have to take it. Honestly, I left that exam and I was going to withdraw from college. I didn't even want to finish college because everything was happening. Like I said, my mom was sick, my little sister had cancer, and literally I was only taking one course. But I was having to drive from Campobello, South Carolina to Clemson University, and that's about an hour and 15-minute drive. And during this time, I was unemployed. My mom, because she was sick, was unemployed. And I didn't have a lot of money. There were days I couldn't get to school because I didn't have gas. But thank you, God, I actually graduated.
Yeah.
Graduated.
You did it.
Yes.
You got your degree, didn't you?
Yes, despite all of the things that were happening, I did it. I made it, and I think that's part of the darkness. My aunt and uncle passed away, but actually moved in with my grandmother. It's like a trailer park community, but during this time, as I said, a lot of my song was birthed from pain. During 2020, I came to the trailer to find that it had burned on the inside, so we lost pretty much everything, and from there is when I started living in a hotel. And honestly, that going through that, the music is something that kept me going. Because there were days I was like, God, I don't know how you expect me to continue to live, and this is life, but you have to give me something to live for. So when I started music, it was more so like, okay, everything around me is crumbling, why not? Yeah. So having studio sessions, having music videos and different things to do, that kept me going. And not only that, I remember when my first song came out, I had visited Miley, laying on the couch, and she started singing the lyrics to my song. So that meant a lot to me, that song gave her some type of hope. That song gave her some type of joy to know what she was going through, but she wanted to sing her big sister's lyrics. Like, that meant a lot to me. So yeah, that was, before I start crying, that was some of the darkness that was going on in my life, but thankfully, we overcame it.
Yeah, I was about to ask you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you to utilize your art form as a way to get out of that darkness.
Mm-hmm. The song itself is a testimony. Finding the light. Sometimes finding the light can be hard, but one thing we always have to remember is darkness never has a chance at even the presence of a speck of light. A speck of light will eliminate the darkness. And it's like, if you keep going, like you said, the light is always at the end of the tunnel. It may be from where you are starting, the light may be this small, but the further you keep going, the light begins to get bigger. So that's what I had to do. I had to just continue to press. Like, there were days, even in recording, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this recording session. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this mix and master. I don't know how I'm going to pay for the video shoot. But it was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about how it's going to get done. All I'm going to hold on to is, hey, God gave me a gift of singing, and I'm going to sing. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to show up for the recording sessions ready to sing. And it's so crazy. My first song, I had to get mixed and mastered. It was actually mixed and mastered by a Grammy Award winning engineer who actually mixed and mastered 21 Savage's A Lot. He mixed and mastered that. His name is Maddox, and he's actually from South Carolina. So shout out to Maddox and thank him. I want to thank him for even working with me. But I remember my producer was like, okay, I'll pay for the master. You just have to pay for the mixing. So the mixing was $400. At the time, I didn't have a job.
$400 is a lot.
So I'm just like, $400 was a lot at that time. But I just remember, I was like, okay, if I ask 40 people for $10, I'll get $400. If I ask 4 people for $100, and I remember just making a list of people to ask, and I'll never forget the first person I asked, they actually wrote me the check for $400. But that's, to me, that's a testament of faith. Like when you start to do what it is you're called to do, ways will start to be,
doors will start opening automatically.
Exactly. And that's the thing, we have to take the first step and just do it. Like if singing, for me, singing is what I feel like I've been called to do. So I was like, you know what? I don't know how to do, I know how to do other things, but I feel like this is what I do naturally. So I'm just gonna sing. So I vividly remember that, just like as we're talking about, just seeing the light began to grow bigger. I didn't know how things were going to happen, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna be resourceful, I'm gonna strategize.
Yeah.
And literally God opened that door of like, okay, you trust me enough to just continue to do it. Asked that one person and they were like, all right, yeah, I got you. Wrote the check.
That is amazing.
Ministry I take very seriously. And I think for myself, going into gospel or being an R&B singer and being a worship leader, I sort of kind of felt like I didn't know the two mixed. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really want to confuse anyone, like, hey, on Sunday mornings, I'm leading people to Jesus and leading people to the presence of God. And then like Monday through Saturday, like I'm singing other type of lyrics. Yeah. So I think singing in church is really how, like me going back to church singing is how I got into the more inspirational music. And I've been singing in church my entire life. That's actually where little A.J.A learned how to sing, was in church. So yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Now I know we were talking earlier about your family and like how they're all vocalists. Mm-hmm. Did you guys sing in church together?
Yes.
All the time?
All the time. All the time. We sang in church, out of church. We actually, I'll never forget, we would actually like have like family gatherings here. And my aunts and uncles, they'd come, they'd sing. My little cousin, he was so cute. He was like probably 3 at the time, and his grandfather, his mom's dad, is a preacher. So he was actually like standing right here preaching to all of us. He was like, Daddy, sing my song, Daddy. So like, yeah, even being back here makes me think of that, like
the nostalgic feeling of like when you guys were kids putting on shows with the whole family.
I have like one of the best dads. My daddy actually sings. He's a big supporter of my music. He actually, for my first ever live show in Spartanburg, he actually came up from Florida. He was there.
So how is Miley doing today?
So Miley is a 12-year-old ball of fire, head full of hair. She's doing so great. Literally, she's probably at home making a TikTok right now.
All right, A.J.A, well, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for telling us your story. If you want to tell the audience where they can find you, find your socials, and when your song is going to be released.
Okay. So yes, y'all. Thank y'all for even tuning in. Again, my name is A.J.A. You can follow me on Instagram at It's A.J.A Official. So ITS-AJA Official, because I don't want to spell it wrong. Yes, and the song will actually be releasing early August. So definitely stay tuned, you guys. I really can't wait for y'all to hear this. As we've already said, it's a testimony. I hope you all are inspired by it. I hope something that we said today touches you.